Vaccine awaits approval from government. PNG National Weather Service gives update. And EMTV receives new television equipment.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Seah.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Tuesday's news. The government is yet to approve a vaccine for the country's COVID-19 vaccination rollout as cases continue to increase. A senior health official told EMTV's In Focus program no particular vaccine was suggested yet. He hinted storage for vaccines may play a big part in determining what vaccines will be brought on shore through the COVAX facility arrangement.
Currently, at least
the National Incidents Manager told MTV the paperwork was complete and it's now with government for the final process.
We have now an NEC submission that is before the government to approve the vaccines. I will not comment on that because that's not officially approved yet. So when it gets approved, we will release the information.
Dr. Downey Esarom says there is no particular vaccine suggested by the Health Department for government to consider bringing to PNG.
A COVAX facility will actually provide PNG with 20% of the total cost of vaccines. The other 80% will actually be either made by government, bilateral partners, or other sources of support. I cannot tell you the monetary value because, as I said, it depends on the candidate or the candidate vaccines that has been approved by government.
While the process is prolonged, the case numbers continue to increase throughout the country, with the numbers already above the 1,000 mark. The country's head of the COVID-19 response, David Manning, also testing positive to the disease. The opposition leader, Belden Nama, is calling on the ruling government not to bring in any vaccine for that matter.
We want the government to hold any bringing in of vaccines either from United States or from China until the government is fully satisfied the people of this country with a comprehensive report that has been tabled on pandemic and its effects upon the population of our country.
While the proposal awaits, the health officials have hinted cold storage as a major factor in determining what vaccine might be approved.
Looking at a vaccine that is able to be stored between 2 to 8 degrees, this is the sort of temperature where we currently store our vaccines.
Currently, one vaccine is suitable for hotter climates like PNG, which is the AstraZeneca vaccine, which was approved for emergency use by the World Health Organization last week. Countries like Australia have already approved the vaccine for use. The Health Department says government will pay part payment for the vaccine.
People have personal perceptions about the vaccine, but those personal perceptions should not influence the whole community because the vaccines are here to protect the community.
Australia in January promised further close to 300 million kina assistance for vaccines over the next 3 years. Dr. Downey Esarom confirming they will not go out of the COVAX facility arrangement to procure these vaccines, despite many already ordering in thousands outside and leaving poor countries at a disadvantage. Annette Cora, National EMTV News.
The Madang Technical COVID-19 team has come up with its provincial orders to control the spread of the virus in the community. The orders were in response to the recent spike of positive COVID-19 cases that were reported. Madang Provincial Hospital CEO Fidelis Waipma says among those orders, business houses and individuals are required to follow all COVID-19 guidelines.
The Madang technical team, in accordance with the national orders from the controller, has set its provincial COVID-19 orders. The technical team warns the people of Madang to avoid large crowds or gatherings, and every individual is required to wear face mask and follow all COVID-19 measures. Business houses are obliged to open from 7 a.m. and close at 7 p.m., while a number of informal markets will close indefinitely.
All markets must comply with the new patient guidelines of basic health hygiene, social distancing, wearing a face mask.
Any shops not operating within the COVID-19 guidelines will be penalized accordingly, while police will make sure all orders and guidelines set in place are followed.
Before market security masala, tomorrow you can become face mask. I'm sure they go inside to masala. No face mask possible.
Chairman of the Provincial Technical Team, Marcus Kachau, has welcomed a decision by the Madang Governor Peter Yama to bring in health officials from Chimbu. Kachau told the Madang Technical Team Governor Yama wants a second opinion to verify if Madang Province has positive cases of COVID-19.
You mean light punishment or heavy punishment? Looking at the severity of the COVID. But but our monitoring people in the hospital will guide us in making such decisions.
Since the 27th of January, Madang has seen an increase in the number of COVID-19 cases. According to Dr. Martin Diamond, all cases are asymptomatic, making them very likely to spread in the community. However, the province has no quarantine facility to date available to do isolation. Dr. Diamond explains Madang needs an isolation facility to keep the positive cases until they turn negative before they are released back to their homes. Meanwhile, the facility that Madang Governor Peter Yama had provided 250,000 kina to refurbish to use as an isolation center in March of 2020 cannot be used, as the facility is close to the hospital. Health officials are also faced with other challenges like infection and control issues, which made it a high risk to health officials and the general public. Martha Lewis, National EMTV News, Madang.
As of the 18th of February 2021, PNG's total count of COVID-19 cases stands at 970 confirmed cases with 10 known deaths. From these cases, 846 have recovered. Meanwhile, the latest confirmed cases that have been publicly announced include the National Pandemic Response Controller, David Manning, and 2 members of his family. Their results were confirmed on Saturday the 20th, and all are currently in isolation. The other new case is the policeman from Gordon's police station. Commissioner Manning is reminding citizens to be vigilant and strictly follow COVID-19 health protocols. The Weather Office has released a report of the progress of the current wet season and an outlook for the next 2 weeks, while the National Weather Service continues to monitor and report developments associated with tropical cyclone activity. The general public is urged to take heed and comply with the warnings issued by the PNG National Weather Service.
Releasing a report on the outlook and progress of the wet season in the country, the PNG National Weather Service indicates that the current situation and outlook for the next 2 weeks will see a weak atmospheric wave that will be passing over the region and will enhance rainfall across PNG. Most parts of the country should receive some rainfall this week, and it is anticipated that by the end of February or early March, there should be an increased rainfall activity across the country. Progress on the wet season indicates that the northwest monsoon is in its peak. The recent weather conditions saw 2 tropical cyclones forming in the coral seas, which resulted in widespread heavy rainfall leading to floods in parts of Milne Bay, Western, Central, including NCD, Oro and Gulf provinces. According to the PNG National Weather Service, the tropical cyclone season for PNG coincides with the wet season and is from November to April each year, which means the number of tropical cyclones forming in the waters of PNG increases. The formation of any tropical cyclone will enhance monsoon surges and heavy rain causing flooding, landslide and rising water levels in the low-lying areas and along the coastlines that could have adverse effects on the food and water security and associated sectors, including health-related issues such as disease outbreaks and damage to public infrastructure. The PNG National Weather Service will continue to monitor and report any developments associated with tropical cyclone activities within the areas of responsibility for the sake of the people. The general public is urged to take heed and comply with the warnings issued by the PNG National Weather Service. Annette Cora, National EMTV News.
In strengthening its partnership with the media in the Pacific region, Pacifica TV has gifted EMTV Newsroom with brand new television equipment. The equipment were presented by New Zealand's High Commissioner to PNG, Philip Towler, to the head of EMTV's News and Current Affairs, Cynthia Demara.
Pacifica TV New Zealand has been a long-standing partner of EMTV. It is a New Zealand government initiative that is funded by the New Zealand Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade, with the overall aim to build strong relationships in the Pacific region by supporting the media and communications sector. This partnership is further strengthened with the presentation of brand new television news equipment and other accessories. The items were presented by the New Zealand High Commissioner to PNG, Philip Towler, to EMTV's Head of News and Current Affairs, Cynthia Demara.
The aim of this equipment is to enable broadcasters to be able to broadcast remotely in case of a natural disaster or COVID lockdown. So very pleased to be handing this over for PCBL. They're very active across the Pacific and assisting Pacific broadcasters, and we're very pleased to be able to extend that cooperation to EMTV.
We also have our crew that travel out of Port Moresby, and they will be able to make use of the equipment that you have given us.
Apart from a consistent delivery of Pacific regional TV content to PNG's premier television station, Pacifica TV has also targeted resilience programs that have helped build capacity and capability assistance right throughout the Pacific region.
We're looking forward to more partnerships with Pacifica TV, and it's in terms of, training, equipment, but also engagement too with other international news agencies. For example, we did one with TVNZ where we had a training session with them, and this is the result of it getting, receiving this equipment. So we'll get some training in this new equipment that we've just received. So it's very exciting, and it also gives our local staff some exposure to how things are done internationally, especially in the media and communications industry.
This equipment will be used by EMTV's national news team to further strengthen the quality of their TV and online news platforms. Shamit Boreambeb, National EMTV News.
And we from EMTV News say thank you to Pacific Corporation Broadcasting Limited and the New Zealand government. With that, the news continues with more stories after the break. Welcome back. Access to the Gordon's police station by the public in Port Moresby is restricted as of today after a policeman who works there tested positive for COVID-19. ACP NCD Central Commander Anthony Wagambi Jr. said the station will remain closed until test results from the staff who work there are made available and the station fully sanitized.
The policeman received his COVID-19 test results last night and found out it was positive. He immediately advised his police station commander, who alerted the next chain of command. COVID-19 protocols were immediately effected, which resulted in the closure of Gordon's police station. All personnel there have been put through COVID-19 testing at Rita Flynn. ACP NCD Central Commander Anthony Wagambi Jr. has liaised with Assistant Commissioner Logistics at the police headquarters, who has arranged for a contractor to go to Gordon's police station to have it sanitized. The station will remain closed tomorrow while awaiting the test results. Wagambi said they expect to open the station for use by Thursday, but that depends on the outcome of the test and sanitizing of the station and its surroundings. A contingency plan has been effected with a support unit now taking over policing at Gordon's. With the station being closed, the public is advised to seek the service at either the Airport Police Station, 6 Mile or Boroko Police Station. Meanwhile, the policeman who has tested positive for COVID-19 had gone to the hospital for an ongoing health issue and through testing found out he was COVID-19 positive. He is in isolation at his home. His colleagues have also been advised to stay at home until they receive their results, which is expected expected tomorrow. Wagambi has also advised his policemen that it is good to get tested, not only because it is a COVID-19 protocol, but it's safer to know the status. Shamin Poriambe, National EMTV News.
The police headquarters was temporarily shut down midday today for disinfection. Police Minister William Onglo in a statement said that was a directive by Deputy Police Commissioner Donald Yamasombi following confirmed cases of COVID-19 at the police headquarters. The minister said this should not cause any confusion or alarm with police stations across the country. Police headquarters staff will resume work on Thursday. A contractor has been engaged to disinfect the building. Papua New Guinea's public service has been faced with many issues over the years, with many criticisms labelled at the country's workforce. To address some of these issues, Public Service Minister Joe Sungi stressed on the importance of providing basic training for public servants. He said the public service welfare must also be well looked after.
The Public Service Minister was speaking during his official visit to the Pacific Institute of Leadership and Governance recently. He highlighted issues affecting the country's workforce, and that includes the attitude and behavior of public servants, including their attendance. He says there are many criticisms labelled against them for many years.
And so we can keep on listening to, people condemning the public servants and the way we do business in government, and at the same time the performance level and the image of the public service, all this put together, sometimes it makes you feel like you want to give up.
Better work ethics and values, interpersonal skills and conflict resolution skills are some basic skills that the public service lacks. DPM Secretary Tyas Sansan says they must be trained on these important values.
But we need to ground the public servants, a proper way of, coming into the workforce, passing belong behavior belong. These are the issues and the experience that we are seeing that is happening everywhere. We are seeing public servants, chewing betel nut.
One of the things that we want to also look at in your training is to make sure that we train managers and supervisors of various levels of sectors of the government to be able to have interpersonal skills. Those are the areas that is lacking.
Public service welfare was also highlighted as one of the factors affecting the performance of public servants. For many years, public servants have been residing in settlements with no better housing provided for them, and public servants in rural areas are facing the same problem. The Public Service Minister says their welfare must be well looked after.
The government will have to be serious, and we have to talk and deal with things that matter most. We cannot continue to criticize the public service when we cannot provide the basic needs and the welfare of the public servants cannot be looked after.
I have to change them. Now I see my public servant working very well with me because I changed their living conditions there. Now I have safety in the house, or sleep good house, marry picking stuff good, and then the public servant will go out and give you the best to serve our people.
On his visit to Pilag, the minister visited various facilities, including student dormitories, with plans to support the institution. The Pacific Institute of Leadership and Governance will be offering competency-based training to better equip the public service and help address issues affecting the sector. Rayon Lakingu, National EMTV News.
Agriculture and Livestock Minister John Simon launched a market support project for Sialum cattle farmers in Tewai CRC district over the weekend. The project will see the setting up of a buying point for farmers at the Sialum station. This project comes after years of struggles for the farmers who have had to bear the hefty cost of transporting their cattle to later sale.
According to cattle farmers in Sialum, the government's market support project is a long time coming. The DAL program officer Nong Mutati said for 70 years, farmers have sustained the historical Sialum cattle project at their own cost. Mr. Mutati said farmers have never had such support from the government.
These smallholder cattle farmers here are owned by the smallholder farms. They sweat. They don't have any government support, government funding like seed capital. They go to SME to get the mini loans or to rehabilitate their projects.
DAL projects in the district have been surviving on a recurrent budget from provincial functional grants. The cattle industry has had no chance to thrive on a blanket budget from a portion of the DSIP funds. There has never been a market for cattle farmers in the Tewai CSC district. Those under the organized market system sell to two buyers, Chukai Farm in Lei and Ramu Beef. They have been bearing 100% of freight costs.
Farmers meet their own cost to charter a bus. 40,000 a trip. It is 204 kina per head.
This government is the first of many to revive the Sialum cattle project with its initiative to create a buying point in Sialum station for the farmers.
Previous years, you come, no minister, you come to Sialum. You strong in me plan, Kapim, Pelescan, game money, strong me plan, you come, and now 2021, the Minister Loikasan Livestock and come.
The Agriculture Minister John Simon sealed the deal with a 100,000 kina check to the Sialum Cattle Association. The local member also made a commitment of 200,000 kina to the association. His commitment was also supported with a 50,000 kina commitment from the Morobe provincial government. The minister was in Kanome Station over the weekend with local member Dr. Kobe Bomario, Morobe Governor Ginsen Saunu, and other dignitaries to launch the cattle market project.
But we buy those cattle and we keep it at a stockyard, and then as soon as we have the volume that is enough, then we move them out. Like in the meantime, in a short-term plan, what I've got is for here is to arrange the shipping. So once we have enough cattle, once we have enough cocoa bag, once we have enough coffee bag, then we arrange the ship to come in and carry it.
Part of the district's commitment, on the other hand, is to minimize the risk that farmers face on sea while transporting their cattle.
Plan district now, Mister. I'm not look long. How best we can try to cut him down. There's a risk. Or people like him put him call boat no cut him go lay. The
Agriculture Department also presented 100,000 kina each for coffee and cocoa projects in the district. The minister has directed the Livestock Development Corporation, the Coffee Industry Corporation, and the PNG Cocoa Board to immediately send officers to the district to start these projects. Charlene Airy, National EMTV News.
Beekeeping offers many opportunities, especially for smallholder farmers. According to the Department of Agriculture and Livestock Regional Director John Jave, the industry itself is worth 7 to 8 million kina, and every year it's putting 1 million kina directly back into the farmer's pocket.
Papua New Guinea projects based on beekeeping offers many opportunities, especially for smallholder farmers. Currently, the industry is worth 7 to 8 million kina, and then it puts 1 million kina directly back into the farmer's pocket.
So it's an industry that, farmers are making money, and it's also enabling them to improve livelihoods. And it's one of the activities that it has very, very minimum effect on the climate. So if we are looking for ways to promote economic improvement in people's lives in the rural sector and at the same time mitigate against climate change, it's one of the best candidates that we can promote.
However, beekeeping has faced different setbacks due to mite infestations and lack of government support. Eastern Highlands Beekeepers Association Chairman John Abuka says if there are no bees, there is no food security. He also said the government needs to support this industry as previously funding for honey had been diverted to combat the coffee berry borer.
Kami na support more stuff. Na inside the story na kan where you marry me bee work in trouble work to garden pollinating or some way by a maritime flower ya food security site contribute. Tesla gaman mulu sa one. Gaman mas dulu one side or there's something na fix me plateau.
As more and more farmers realize the potential of beekeeping, the relevant government agencies also need to see the industry's potential to grow.
But me working pinis na hania em stable self. Wambla driman lo gaman or sem jumi papua ni uni yet mas come up keke na jumi keke. Downstream processing. Okay, there's la funding we gaman em no sa funding lo genia. Hani em stable pinis to self. There's a driman lo gaman ya you meeting pinis.
Lilian Sopera Kinea, National EMTV News.
And a documentary on beekeeping in the Eastern Highlands will be aired tomorrow night at 7 p.m. here on EMTV. And now looking at the NASFund market reports, the kina closed unchanged at $0.2850 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina will buy $0.2775 $0.3476 Australian dollars, $0.2206 euro, and 28.61 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading higher, coffee and copper closed lower, cocoa closed higher, crude oil is trading higher, palm oil and copper closed higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed higher, the ASX 200 is trading lower, and the All Ordinaries is trading lower.
Tukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. The 28th SP Sports Awards was officially launched today with nominations for the prestigious sports events now open. With COVID-19 affecting the sports awards last year, forcing it to get cancelled, this year's awards will recognize athletes and sporting achievements from 2019 and 2020. Also, this year's event will be televised on EMTV.
After being forced into cancellation last year, after the launch, the 28th SP Sports Awards is set for new nominations after a new launch today at the Sir John Guy's Indoor Stadium. It was the first time since 1992 that the awards night didn't take place.
2020 was the first time in history that the awards were not organized because of COVID-19 pandemic. But it is pleasant to see the 28th SP Awards will now go ahead to recognize achievements in 2020, 2019 and 2020.
John Neil Carre, SP Breweries Corporate Affairs Manager, says it was a tough year for business with the COVID-19 pandemic affecting almost all aspects of business and leisure, forcing the sponsor to pull the plug on last year's awards night.
When we went into lockdown, we were significantly impacted because on top of obviously the virus outbreak, a lot of the trade was restricted. So we couldn't do business in many parts of the country. And if you can't do business, you can't generate revenue, you can't invest. And who would have known to the extent of this virus that capitulated pretty much the whole world. Now as we have more knowledge, more understanding, we can sort of deal with it, and the vaccine's here, but it's really changed our lives in a very dramatic way, and especially...
Acting Executive Director of the PNG Sports Foundation, Micah James, said it was a relief to get assurance that the awards night will happen this year.
I'm glad the organising committee, which comprises SP Brewery, leading sports agencies, PNG Sports Foundation and the PNG Olympic Committee, have decided to find a way to stage this event in 2021.
Because the awards night was cancelled last year, the 28th SP Sports Awards will be recognizing excellence in sports from the years 2019 to 2020. This includes the 13 categories for this year's awards, with the biannual Stan Joyce Award a feature of this year's awards night.
But of course, this year's format is basically recognizing the talents from 2019 and some of the sporting body federations that took part in a lesser sort of a competition or platform in 2020. So it's going to be combining both years. So, you know, we encourage everyone to bring in some nominations. I believe when we launched it last year, this time last year, we did receive some nominations, but we need to re-energize that, refresh people's memories and get the 2019 entries, as well as those federations that took part in some form of sporting activity in 2020.
This year's awards will be virtual and telecasted on MTV. The nominations are open until the closing date, which is on the 7th of April 2021.
We're still working behind the scenes, SF, OC, SB, we're all working behind the scenes with MTV to crystallize that so that everyone gets showcased. It's a nice branding activity for all of our support sponsors so that everyone, you know, reaps whatever benefits there is to be reaped.
Fidelis Sukina, Trukai Sports.
The 2021 Sports Talk Rugby Sevens tournament will be held during the Easter weekend and team registrations have less than a week to go. Already a good number of teams have registered, which include teams from Lae, Daru, Medang, Rabaul, Kimbe and Port Moresby.
Only a week remains to register for the 2021 Sports Talk Rugby Sevens tournament. The tournament returns for the 4th consecutive year this year and registration closes on the 1st of March, which is next week, Monday. The tournament has been a showcase to provide opportunity for talent identification in the sevens format of rugby union, helping to promote the shorter format of the code and helping to provide a pathway to the national team, the Puk-Puks. Already a good number of teams have registered. This includes teams from Lae, Daru, Medang, Rabaul, Kimbe and Port Moresby. New interest has also been shown from new teams in Alotau, Kavieng, Kimbe, Lae, Wewak and Goroka. But with limited spaces available, only teams that register first will be given preference. This year's tournament poses to be special. It may provide an opportunity for teams to showcase their talent for possible scouting by the PNG Sevens rugby team for the upcoming Oceania Sevens tournament at the end of this year. The prize money for the tournament will be the same as last year's. That is, the cup winner walks away with 10,000 kina plus a new set of jerseys from subsidiary company Tati Sports. The tournament organizers are hoping for at least a team or two from the Highlands region. Fidelis Sukina, Trukai Sports.
And that story wraps up Trukai Sports. The weather details after the break.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
A look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region. Cloudy with rainy periods in Port Moresby, Kerema and Popondetta, and showers in Daru and Alotau. In the Momasa region, cloudy with some showers in Lae, Medang, Wewak and Vanimore. In the New Guinea Islands region, cloudy with some showers in Lorengau, Kokopo, Rabaul and Kimbe. A few showers in Kavieng and mostly fine morning, then partly cloudy with chances of a shower or two in Buka. And in the Highlands region, some showers right across the region, then morning fog in Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kondiawa, Mendi and Wabeg.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
And that's been the news, sport and weather for today, Tuesday, the 23rd of February 2021. On behalf of the entire MTV News team, pleasant viewing and good night.